Hey everyone, it's Kate Johnson. Glad to be here in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle group. And we are excited to have a great interview today. Yeah, we are here today with Juliet Aurora. And she is someone I've gotten to know over the last short while. I've definitely known about who she was for a while. Her name has come up a lot as I've learned about what it means to be in this bookkeeping business. So we're super glad to have her here. She is very experienced, and so we're going to get a lot of good information from her. Part of what we're going to do today is talk about a course that she offers, but she's super flexible, and we can take this course, or sorry, take this conversation wherever it needs to go. And if y'all have questions, ask her now while we can. Please chime in on the comments. I got my screen up here, so I'll be able to see that. So I wanted to say one more quick thing. So Juliet has sent me 2 copies. One's for me. I'm not giving them both away. But 2 copies of a book that she and her husband wrote. It's called The Ninja Way. And I want to give away one of these copies to anyone. So I don't know the best way to do this quite yet. So if you comment on the Facebook chat or for this video, I will put your name in a drawing, and I'll draw tomorrow. We'll leave this like this for 24 hours, and I'll also send you a copy of my ebook as well. Oh, hi Diane, glad you're here. Anyway, so yes, if you're listening to this even later, as long as it's before August 14th at 3 o'clock, I will put your name in the hat to get a copy of this book. This is like we're going to ask her to tell us about this book. Actually, let's start. Juliet, tell us who you are, and go ahead and intro this book. I want people who are watching early to make sure they know what this is and what cause it goes to help, and then we'll get into your course.
Okay, sure. So as Kate, thank you very much for having me here. I'm happy to share my experience as much as I can so people, I guess, get to the level of success that they want without doing any of the mistakes that I made. So my name is Juliet Aurora, owner of AIS Solutions, which is a bookkeeping and QuickBooks training firm. We're located in Canada, just outside of Toronto. As well as the co-founder of the Ninja Network, which I guess the best way to explain it, it's an education and support community for accounting professionals in the industry.
Okay.
So the book that Kate mentioned, my husband has been trying. My husband is also my business owner. He's also a business owner and my partner in the business. And when he's probably been trying to convince me to write a book for the last 10 years. And I said, no, it's not something I want to do. In 2017, we were very fortunate to be awarded the title of Global Firm of the Future. It's a contest put on by Intuit. And after we won, I was stunned at how many people came up to me during the conference, as well as after the conference, to say that they could never do what I've done. And I have it all put together, and it's so amazing. And I'm thinking, you guys have no idea how messy it was for the first 15 years of the business. Okay. And that was the reason we wrote the book.
Awesome. And so the book is available for sale on Amazon, y'all. You can also, so the book's called The Ninja Way. And tell us real quick about the proceeds of the book are designated for something special. So give us a highlight of that as well.
Sure. I'm happy to always talk about my foundation. So the next phase of my life is I've created a foundation, which is called the Ninja Foundation. And all of the proceeds from the book, so it's not all the net proceeds, it's all the proceeds from the book go to support this foundation. The first project, or the first initiative of the foundation, is to build Nina House. And Nina is our ninja avatar, which is why it's called Nina House. So it's Nina with a K, just like ninja with a K.
Okay.
And it's going to be a women's shelter. I guess it's women and girls. So it's at-risk youth, females that are either facing domestic violence or homelessness, And that's going to be the first initiative that we're launching.
Okay. Well, yeah, so everyone get your copy. Again, I'll say this probably a few more times. If you chime in just with any comment on this Facebook chat, on this live chat, in the next 24 hours till August 14th in the afternoon, I'll put your name in the hat to win a copy of this, and I'll get it in the mail to you. Awesome. Well, thanks for that. I want to dive into what resources you have that will help the bookkeeping side hustle community. As always, I kind of preface my talks with if I have an affiliate link, and Juliet has provided an affiliate link for me for the course Kninja90.
Yeah.
Kninja90. And I will, I'll transcribe this interview and I'll write a blog post about it, trying to pull out the highlights of as I see the course. But if you want to support the Bookkeeping Side Hustle group and what I do here, you can use my affiliate link. I'm not taking the course. I always make that disclaimer, but I'm trying to just use my wisdom to try to find resources that I think might be valuable. And so I'm vetting stuff for y'all. So you've told us a little bit about your background, but if there's anything else about your background, maybe even especially maybe some of like your early, like real bootstrappy early year or 2 days, because that's where a lot of the folks in this audience are. If there's any other part of your story about I read part of the book and I was like, oh my gosh, she's like the original bookkeeping side hustler, but just for like 20 years ago. We're all like trying to get started. We're all looking for clients. We all are frustrated with software, all of that. How did you handle that back in 2002 when you started?
So I started in 2000 when my daughter was
2000.
born.
Okay.
Yes, it was 2000, so it was 20 years in July that we celebrated, which is mind-boggling. And if someone had said to me 20 years ago that I was actually starting a business and I was an entrepreneur, I would have told them they were crazy. Because all I was doing at that point, I was a single mom, and I was looking to find a way for my daughter not to sit in daycare for 12 hours a day. Okay. That was the only reason that I started the business.
Right. You didn't have the entrepreneurial, like I was born to be an entrepreneur since I was 5 years old kind of thing.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing
I think
like
there's a lot of people like that. I would consider myself that way.
Yes. No, not at all. I was in the corporate world. I had a great job, worked for a great company. And it seemed like maybe all the stars were aligning and someone was sending me a signal that I needed to spend more time with my daughter. So the company that I was working for was being relocated to the US, and they offered me a job to move, and I wasn't really too keen on it. And so I got a severance package, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a try for 6 months, see what happens, see if I can support myself, put food on the table, spend some time with my daughter. If it doesn't work, then I'll go back, I'll pound the pavement, and I'll get a job. And that was 20 years ago. So it was not... it wasn't anything that was planned. It wasn't like I had a business plan. It wasn't that I had this huge network of, accountants and bookkeepers. It was pretty much, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Let's see what it looks like. And so what I did was I basically let everybody and anybody know in my circle of friends, in my network, that I was doing this. And my first client actually ended up being my employer because they needed me for longer than my severance period.
Okay.
So they were my first client, but my second client was my real estate agent. My third client was my real estate agent's neighbor. Right. And that's basically, and it was basically, people would come to me, can you do this? If it was anything at all related to numbers, I said yes. Whether I knew how to do it or I didn't, if it was related to numbers, I did it.
So did you say yes to things that when you said yes, you're like, oh no?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It was literally, I needed the money. And so I said yes to everything. And then I figured it out.
Okay. Yeah, y'all, someone is actually asking for the name, so I'll say it again. The Ninja Way, I got this yesterday in the mail, so haven't read that much, but some of that story is shared in here. And I think it would be really powerful for all of us to read Yeah, I mean, I think my second client was like in the carpool line, like that. Seriously. So lots of people are asked, they ask like, how do you get clients? And I'm like, well, the first step is make sure everyone and then everyone they know, everyone that their network too. But if cover all those bases first before you do any other gymnastics.
Absolutely. And it was all very different then. There was no Facebook.
Sure.
There was no, social media. So it was all word of mouth, or it was, flyers. And it's actually interesting. I got a new computer this week. So I started going through my existing computer and cleaning off files so I didn't migrate a whole bunch of crap over. And I found my first flyer that I made and my business was called Aurora International Services.
Okay.
Now called AIS Solutions. So Aurora International Services became AIS, but it was called Aurora International Services. And my tagline was illuminating your path to success, because Aurora Borealis.
Sure.
So that was my corny tagline. And my, the visualization on the flyer, totally, like you look at it now and you go, oh my God, that's
Did
awful.
you do it yourself, like in Microsoft Paint or something?
I did it myself, and it was probably Microsoft Paint because there was no Canva. So it was, it was a whole different time. There's so many advantages that you have now that you didn't have, that I didn't have 20 years ago.
The root is you just took what you had and made it work. And
you tell everybody and anybody that you're standing in line at the grocery store and you start up a conversation, you ask them what they do, naturally they're going to ask you what you do. There you go. You get to talk about your business. And the more that you talk about your business, the more comfortable you're going to be talking about your business.
Oh my gosh. So I again, if you comment, you're going to get a chance at this free book, and I'm going to give you my free book too. And I say something similar, just, it's like a muscle that I had never exercised, like talking about myself. And I mean, I'm hardly great at it, like period. I am not good at it, but I am better than I was 2.5 years ago. And I can just feel myself like, it's a muscle that I've exercised, and I can say, oh, I have a bookkeeping company, and like that would have made me want to throw up, like even a year ago. I probably said it, but I wasn't comfortable. And so just trying to, I don't know, your story is great. And that's why I really encourage people to just get this copy and to listen to people like you who are willing to share. And there's no secret formula. She didn't have like the magic juice. She made an awkward flyer with an awkward tagline, and so will you. And you may or may not grow a big firm of the future award-winning company like yours. It just depends. There's a ton of different paths you can take, but any path is like better than no path if you want to do this. So awesome.
And also the one thing is, 20 years ago when I started this path, there was no way that I was having staff, I was having a team, that firm of the future even wasn't even on my radar.
Right.
So it wasn't like I planned any of it.
Right. It's how it goes. So
yes.
So let's talk about your course. I do want to be a couple of disclaimers. Let's say one, your course is for Canadians only right now. Is that right?
Right now.
So we need to know, I mean, Juliet's in the Side Hustle group. She's all over social media. Y'all can let her know, y'all Americans and possibly other countries, if what she's about to talk about is something that we need. If the demand is there, I mean, she's a businesswoman. If the demand is here, she'll come. But I think we can all still listen, even if we're not from Canada, and just get an idea of what it's like, because your course has a definitely different flavor from what I've been able to gather from that's out there. So let us hear about your course, the Kninja90 program. What motivated you to create this course?
I created it because I couldn't find. I waited for someone else to create it, because I didn't want to create it. So I kept looking and hoping and talking to the people that I knew that created courses as to whether or not they were going to create something that was like this, because I needed it.
Okay.
And
you needed it for yourself. You
So
needed
I
it
did
in
it,
your
yes.
firm.
I
Okay.
did it to build and grow my firm.
Okay.
So we started on the cloud accounting journey. We were QuickBooks Desktop. I guess we were Sage, PC Law, Business Visions, QuickBooks Desktop.
Okay.
And we started to make this transition to QuickBooks Online, and it was brutal. It was such a brutal transition because my existing team, which I think was 4 or 5 people at that time, knew QuickBooks Desktop inside out, back of their hand. They could do things without looking at the keyboard, looking at they knew the menus inside and out. And the cloud journey is so fundamentally different. The thinking behind the bookkeeping process is so fundamentally different.
Okay.
And when we started this journey, none of my team were interested and wanted to go on QuickBooks Online. And so I actually, it's a funny story, and I think it's actually in the book. And it's a funny story, and I keep repeating it, and some of you may have already heard it.
Tell us. I haven't.
So I was diehard QuickBooks Desktop. When we moved into our office in 2010, so for the first 10 years of my business, it was out of my house. 2010, we actually moved it into an office and decided to hire employees. So it was 10 years I was solo. I didn't incorporate and become a real technical legal entity until 2010. And so the book starts basically from 2010 forward, other than a little bit of the story at the beginning. But I was, when we moved into the office in 2010, we decided that we were going to be a virtual firm, but cloud didn't exist at that time. QuickBooks Online wasn't even in Canada. And so we invested this huge infrastructure and in terminal servers and VPN networks, and we hosted our clients' desktop databases, and our clients would connect into the database that was hosted on our servers. So in my mind, we were in the cloud because we had virtual. And I remember my QuickBooks rep at the time came in and said, you know, do you mind? And had been trying to convince me to move to QuickBooks Online. And I said, no, I'm not interested. And said to me, do you mind if I come with my manager and we talk to you? And I said, okay, sure. So he came to our office and sat with me to understand why I wasn't willing to move to QuickBooks Online and wanted to stay on desktop. And I, for 45 minutes, told them why I would never, ever, ever, ever move to QuickBooks Online, because I had all of the features of QuickBooks Online without being on QuickBooks Online, because we had this virtual network.
Sure.
I went to QuickBooks Connect in San Jose, the very first QuickBooks Connect conference that they had. I was there for 4 days, and I came back from there and went, oh my God, it is not the same. It is so fundamentally different. And I came back from there and sat in front of my team and said, okay, we're moving all our clients to QuickBooks Online. We're going to go 100% QuickBooks Online. And my team hadn't attended the conference, so they didn't even have a clue what I was talking about. And so it was pretty much, okay, let's take a step back, I had to get them excited about it, because one of the things that we used to do in our team meetings was we would talk about new clients that were coming on board. And if I said, when I made this mandate that we're going to start doing QuickBooks Online, when I would tell them and I'd say, okay, we have our first QuickBooks Online client, nobody would meet my eyes in the room because nobody wanted that client. And if I said it was a QuickBooks Desktop client, everybody wanted, yeah, it was, I'll take it. And so I realized that we needed to get them excited first, and that we needed to give them some training. So we started doing weekly training every Monday. It was, okay, let's learn something about QuickBooks. Let's learn something about the apps. So if you
it was pretty bad back then, right?
It was horrible. It was
horrible.
I
mean, I didn't even know what QuickBooks was at all, but from the stories I've heard, it was, you know, not something a real accountant would want to touch.
No, definitely not. And so fast forward 6 months, where my team had now training on QuickBooks Online. They understood the apps. They understood what the advantages were versus desktop. Sitting in a team meeting, we have a new client. QuickBooks Online, everybody would put their hands up and say, oh, what industry are they? I haven't used that app. Can I take them as a client? because I want exposure to that app. If it was a QuickBooks desktop client, nobody would meet my eyes because nobody wanted my desktop clients. And so we realized how fundamental the training was. And if we wanted to grow, this is a really long-winded answer for why I started the course.
It's okay.
When we wanted to grow, we were looking for new team members. Nobody had QuickBooks Online experience. They had desktop experience, but if you've been in both programs, you know how different they are. And so I was looking for someone to be able to train my team. And basically, I still remember it. So I ended up finding out that the manager that came with my QuickBooks rep was the CEO of QuickBooks Canada, or Intuit Canada at the time. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was the CEO. But I remember him reaching out to me after and saying, well, apparently never ever is about 6 months. So, but we realized that there wasn't enough training. And so that's why we built it, so that I could hit the ground running, hire somebody, put them through this 90-day, and it's called the Kninja90 program because it's a 90-day program, put them through this Kninja90 program, and at the end of the 90 days, they are a fully trained cloud accounting bookkeeper. That is the goal.
Okay, so that goes great into tell us more about your course. So it's built on this 90-day framework, and it sounds like it's meant to train employees.
Yes.
That's what it's for. Okay.
Yes.
You know, there are people in my group who probably have aspirations of larger firms, but is it ever appropriate for someone who would be like just starting out to invest in this, or should we like nip that in the bud and say this is just for firm owners who are ready to train? Like who's the product for?
The product is designed for firms that are hiring employees. That is who we designed it for. There are a lot of resources, and there's a lot of people that have created programs for if you're the owner and you're the bookkeeper, of how to do that.
Right. There are a lot.
There's already a lot. And there's a lot of great resources out there. So, but the program that we designed is sometimes you are moving into that space and you're hiring team members, but you can't train them. Either you don't have the knowledge and the experience, or you don't have the time.
Right.
And so it's designed that there's two components to the course. There's a manager component, and then there's an employee component.
Okay.
The manager component has a handbook, and it actually says, this is what your employee is learning this week. Here are the core concepts of what they're learning.
Okay.
Here's what you need to support them with practical experience in your firm for them to do, because they know by the end of the week, they'll know how to do this.
All right.
And so it gives them a step-by-step over the week, what it is that you have to do to support what it is that they're learning. The manager has access to the full course so that if they want to dive in, they certainly can, but it's not designed for them to actually go through the course themselves.
Okay. I was going to say, would it be appropriate for someone for their first hire?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if this would be something that my company could invest in if all of a sudden I'm ready to scale, to go big. I want a large portfolio of clients and I'm going to need help. So I could, as my first hire, I could buy this program. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So Intuit, the stats that Intuit hands out is that it typically takes between 16 and 18 months to be a fully trained cloud bookkeeper.
Okay.
There's no business that can sustain that, which is why we shortened it to 90 days. And it gets the employee productive at the end of week 1. At the end of week 1, they are contributing to your bottom line.
I lost my thought. I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind.
That's okay.
Must not have been that good. So the course sounds unique. So it's meant for people who are growing and ready to hire. does it provide any other like HR resources? Like I'm trying to imagine, like, what would it feel like to like make that first hire? Are you, you know, do I get access to, as the manager, would I get access to like support? Like, how do I even identify good candidates, or is that part already kind of, you've already hired your person, now you just need to train them?
Great question. Okay, so the Kninja90 program is designed to train them.
Okay.
But the Ninja suite of products, we
Okay.
call ourselves the Hot Ninjas. So
Okay.
HOTT.
Okay. Yes.
We cover hiring, onboarding, team, so building your team and training your team.
Okay.
So there are other components. If you're looking to hire, we have a hiring system, a 4-hour hiring system to help you hire the best candidate.
Okay.
And then we have an onboarding program to help you onboard the new employee. The onboarding program is coming out in September, and then we have a team and then training. So it's not really built into the Kninja90. The Kninja90 assumes that you've already hired them.
Okay. Okay.
The other thing that is on the manager side is as the employee goes through the course, they have to check off objectives as they complete them. And if they are videos that they have to watch, they can't check off the objective without actually watching the video. They have to watch the video and then the objective checks off automatically. So they can't bypass the learning.
Okay.
And the manager has a dashboard that they can see where the employee is at, what objectives they've achieved. And at the end of every module, there are practice exercises and exams that they have to take. They have to get 80% on the test before the next module will open up for them.
Okay.
And so the manager in the dashboard will see how many times it took them to take the test and what their scores were.
Awesome.
So that also is going to help them. Okay, this person is struggling. Maybe I need to give them some extra support because they can't seem to get past module 1. The program also has private, or I guess it's group chat channels for the managers, so that the managers who are struggling, they can talk to other managers.
Yeah.
And if the students are struggling, they can talk to other students as well. So there
Okay.
are two. It was interesting. And again, you learn as you build, right? We had everybody in one channel and there was no conversation because the students didn't want their managers to know that they had questions.
For
So
sure.
you couldn't ask any questions. But we split them into 2 groups and now there is actual support between the other students.
When you say channel, you mean Slack?
We use Teamwork as our internal project management, and
Okay.
Teamwork has a chat channel. It's
Okay.
very similar, same idea as Slack though.
Okay. I remember what I was going to say earlier. You had said those stats from Intuit about it takes 15 to 18 months to become a bookkeeper. And I kind of want to
bookkeeper.
To be a what?
A cloud bookkeeper.
A cloud bookkeeper. I guess I just want to kind of beat that drum. I like to make sure that I like the name of my group, but I also want people to know that like side hustle still means very serious, and so that this is not the kind of business, whether you're going to be an entrepreneur or an employee, that you can just go out and do on your own in a week. So those people who are functioning after a week, it's because they're in a firm with a manager and surrounded by people who know what they're doing. Yes, your program will get them productive, and yes, you've shortened the timeline, but like this is still a big thing to learn. So
Absolutely.
It is worth it if you have the long view. Yeah. If you've got I want to be doing this for 20 years, and then I want to start to sunset when I have grandkids, and I want to have only my very favorite clients and everyone else gets to go, and I only need a little bit of income coming in, like that's a long view. And this is not the job for people who need $1,000 by the end of the week.
No.
So I like to emphasize that, just because I see who joins the group, and I think there's a lot of people who are intrigued and are excited, and they're entrepreneurial and they want to get going. And there's some differences with this kind of work where it can be done as a side hustle, but it's still super professional and requires training and knowledge that is not innate. Like no one is born knowing how to be accounting. Like even if you're like a math genius, it's different language. It's not about being a knowing math like the back of your hand. It just takes training, and everyone can learn it, but you have to learn it. So.
And the other thing to note, though, is with cloud, which is different than traditional desktop bookkeeping, is the automation piece can create huge messes if you don't know what you're doing. And if you don't have the training, you won't know how to fix it. You won't even know how to find it, let alone how to fix it. So the training is, whether you're doing it and you're going through it yourself, don't assume that you're going to be able to, you connected Receipt Bank to QuickBooks and you're good to go. It doesn't work like that. Nothing works the way that the app developers tell you it's going to work. It never works like that.
I also describe it as, you don't know when to stop. Like I have found that, just like, I'm not a genius accountant. Maybe I will be one day, but I know I know enough to know when I need to go, whoa, something's not right. That number's negative and it should be positive. That's all I know right now.
Yeah.
I can learn more. I have to dig in, because all I knew is that, like, it added when it should have subtracted.
Yes.
And yeah, so.
And the other thing to note is that our training program does not teach you bookkeeping and accounting fundamentals.
Okay.
It is not designed to teach you what a debit and a credit is. It assumes that you know that already. Got it. So again, if you're in Canada, Diane Mueller, and
she's here watching.
Oh, hi, Diane. Okay, perfect. I'm going to give you a shout out.
Good. Tell us.
So Diane has a firm that she has started in a program called Trifold. I think it's called Trifold Bookkeeper Advisors. And sorry if I've massacred your name, but it teaches the bookkeeping fundamentals. So a program like Diane's is something you would need to go through first before you go through our program.
Got it. So yeah, this assumes that you're maybe hiring someone who has a couple of accounting classes under their belt, or maybe studied accounting 5 years ago and is getting back in, something like that. So it's, and if they don't have that, you either need, but you really love the person, you need to go through Diane and then through Juliet, and then they're ready.
And again, it's an investment in your team. The bookkeeping piece is, it's not a regulated industry in Canada. I think it's the same in the US. It's not a regulated industry. Right. So, which is why a lot of people think that they can just enter into it, sit down, I can balance my checkbook, so I can do bookkeeping. But it's not like that. And so I think it is very important. In our course, we do teach best practices of how we do things in our firm. We'll explain why we do things the way that we do them, but we're not teaching you, what a debit and a credit is. Okay, no, that's fantastic to know.
Well,
I think it's exciting for people to understand what the course does, as opposed to as well as what it doesn't do, so that the expectations are correct.
I think, I'm hoping that a lot of people listen to this who really do appreciate what you said about, like, investing in your employees or something. Like, if you're going to go big, you are gonna die of a heart attack if you're losing employees every year. Like, you have to keep them. You want to keep them happy. Training them is a good way to do that. And I have found here, just by listening to the questions that are asked in my group, is there's a whole lot of people who would love to work for a cloud virtual firm and be trained and be able to know, like, you know what, I'm going to be able to work this job for 10 years. I don't care if I make, $150 an hour billing, like fancy CPA rates. I'll be happy if I can work my 20 hours a week or my 30, like, from home when I want. My boss trusts me. My boss invests in me, and I don't need this entrepreneurial stuff. And then you would have that loyal employee who's just dying for that good fit. And I don't know how to match people up like that, but I can tell that there are a lot of people in my group who don't want to be entrepreneurs, but who love accounting, who love the details, who love the clicking around. And if we can figure out a way to, like, match those people with the people who want the big firm, by the Kninja90 program, you've got your way to train everybody. Y'all are relaxed and happy, and there's not a lot of turnover, because you're during the pandemic, your employee can still homeschool in the morning, because as long as he or she gets their work done in the afternoon, you're fine.
Well,
That's the kind of employee you want and you don't want to lose.
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, so when I was early on in my employee stage, so from 2010, I'm going to say to 2014, maybe 15, I had a revolving door of people going through my office. I would hire them, they'd stay for a while, and then they'd leave. And we would do exit interviews when they were leaving, you know, can you tell us why you're leaving? It was probably till about 2013 or 14. It was 3 or 4 years where it was really bad. And I remember pretty much everybody said, well, your training sucked. You basically would hire me and then you would throw me in and say, here, do this. But I had no idea how to do it.
Okay.
And that was even before cloud. That was, you know, when we were desktop. And quite honestly, we thought we had a good training program. We thought we were doing a good job, but what people told us is that we weren't. And being able to train, and this has nothing to do with anything other than if you're looking to train employees, they need to understand what their path looks like, and what the outcomes are during the path, so that they know, typically when you're training, it's you give them something to do. They say they don't know how to do it, so you train them how to do it. So day 1, they're learning something new, and then you give them something new on day 5. Oh, you don't know how to do it? Okay, here, let me show you how to do it. So there's no real order to how you're training them. You're training them out of necessity. Most people will hire people when they're overwhelmed and they're overworked and they need another body. And that usually ends up crashing and burning on any kind of training program.
Right. Was it stressful having a revolving door those first few years?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you never get any leverage and you never get any momentum because you keep training and you start from scratch every 3 months, 4 months. I'll tell you my worst hire story. Again, completely nothing to do with the course. My worst hire story. We went through all the interviews, which is also part of the reason we created a hiring program, because this was I think it was after this hire. Went through all the interviews, went through resumes, hired somebody. They started with us on Monday morning. And we were doing training. So we spent some time in the morning training them. They left for lunch and they didn't come back.
You're kidding.
They didn't come back. And then, well, yeah, they didn't come back.
And you didn't have any clues during
any clues.
No clue. It wasn't headed. They were otherwise completely normal.
Otherwise, so they were in our office training with us. So they didn't even do anything. It was just training for 4 hours, and they left and didn't come back. But the clincher of it was they then took us to the employment board to sue us to get paid for the 4 hours that they were in our office. But no, we had no clue.
Go away, fly. Go away.
Yes, but,
oh my goodness.
So the training is very important. If you're looking to build a team, the training is very important.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever be there. And again, if people in America want something like this, if this is compelling, we need to stay in contact with Juliet. Now might actually be a good time. You talked about the HOTT. I know you have a lot of additional, like just free resources and your weekly Facebook chat. What's your Facebook group called?
It's called the Kninja Network Accounting Professionals.
Kninja with a K Network Accounting Professionals. I'll make sure I have that typed up. And on the website, kninja.net, I was looking on there, and there's a whole lot of free resources. And I don't want to not tell people to buy your product, but I was just thinking,
no, go ahead.
I'm Miss Scrappy, and holy moly, everyone should just go download a bunch of the free stuff that's there.
Absolutely. There's a ton of stuff there.
Y'all, there was a lot on the resource section. So it'd be a great place for people. So there's a trade-off. There is a trade-off. I want to be clear. I like bootstrapping. I love Juliet's story about how she saved $60 by using her last name and her business. Like that was for sure me, and pretty much still kind of is me. If it's free, I'm kind of drawn to that. I'm not big splashy, like you got to spend a ton, and that's just not my nature. So but there is a cost, and I'm realizing it. And I finally gotten to the point in my own business where, like, you know what, I could pay someone for like an hour of their time, and it sounds like it might, 2 years ago I would have thought, oh, that sounds like way too much money. But what I learned, because I did it the best way, and doing it the free way is not always doing it the best way. So just keep that in mind as you hodgepodge together resources. Juliet has a ton of free resources that look super, super valuable. But there's a cost with whereas if you invest in a program, Juliet's going to say, this is what you do today, and this is what you do tomorrow. Otherwise, you're looking at this big library, and you're just like, I don't know what to do next. I think I'll click on that one. And so there's a lot of just time and inefficiencies when you don't invest in the expert. So it's for good or for bad, but definitely check out the Kninja.net free resources and her Ninja Network on Facebook as well.
And it really does depend where you are in your journey. If you're still just exploring, then sometimes, or you don't have the money and you can't afford it, then you have to take the resources that you can. But you're right that the difference between, and there are a ton of resources. And so, for example, in our course, we teach QuickBooks Online, but we also teach apps and how they all interact with QuickBooks Online.
Okay.
And so I'm often asked, well, there's a ton of free videos on QBO. Why do I need to buy your program? So the difference between our program and the free resources is that the entire program follows the journey of one bookkeeper and one client. So it's Nina's Numbers is the name of the bookkeeping firm, and the client is Build a Body. And so all the way through, you are growing with this same bookkeeper and the client. So she gets her first client. Here's how you set it up in QuickBooks. She's a gym, so she's service-based. So it starts out really simple. She then starts selling yoga mats. So let's introduce inventory. She then hires her first employee. Okay, now let's introduce payroll. And you're following the story of the same person and company all the way through. When you go and you're kind of Googling on YouTube, which is what we used to do, and you need to know how to do something, you're looking at it, but it's not in relation to anything else that you've already learned. So you have to get your head around, okay, well, it's kind of different. The setup of this company is different than when I looked at it on a different video, and it's a different person teaching, so it's a different style. And so you may have gaps, or you may have a lot of overlap when you're just kind of learning on the fly. And that really is part of what I think is the strength of our program, is that it has a continuous story.
Awesome. I'm going to ask Juliet a couple more questions. If anyone has questions for her, I know I have a tendency to be a really loud mouth. So please tell me your questions to ask her. I don't mean to be the only one talking. So you ask away, and also there's still quite a few people watching. So if you chime in with your name, just say your name, you'll be in a drawing for a free copy of Juliet's book. So those of you listening, type your name in if you haven't. I'm looking at my questions. I think we've kind of gone over quite a bit. I normally ask people what sort of student is most successful in your course and ones that are not a good fit for your course. Your course is a little different for that, but I mean, can you answer that? I don't know if you would consider, are the managers your students or are the bookkeepers your students? The person who purchases, is that who you could answer it both ways. What sort of bookkeeper is successful, and also what kind of manager who invests is successful in using your material?
So the manager that's successful is one that is overworked and overwhelmed and doesn't have time to do proper training.
Okay.
They probably get the most leverage. A lot of the managers, what we have found that go through the program, will, instead of having their employees sit down and shadow them all day, will sit down with them at the end of the week after they've gone through the module, go through our manager handbook so they know what they've learned, and sit down with the employee and then talk about that topic specific to some of their clients. So it really leverages where we teach all the basic fundamentals, and then you're only having to teach the pieces that are unique to your firm and your client base.
Okay.
So So it's very successful for managers that just don't have the time to do it properly, or don't like to do it. Sometimes we're great in running our business. We're not so good at teaching someone else because we think the one thing that I've learned as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, is that the people that we hire don't think like we do. And so when you're, and I'm guilty of this myself, when I'm training somebody, or I've learned, when I was training somebody, I would assume they would pick it up as quickly as I would because they would have all of my experience, which was in my head, and they wouldn't. And then they would crash and burn, and then I would get upset. Well, why can't you do it? Why haven't you been able to figure this out? I was able to figure it out. And so the program fills those gaps.
Okay.
You just take for granted. And then from the student side, really it's anyone that has bookkeeping knowledge already. As I said, we don't teach the debits and credits, and has an interest in learning the cloud side and how QBO and the apps all integrate.
Cool.
And what a workflow would look like.
It's a great job. I'm realizing this is a great industry for the tech lovers out there.
Absolutely. Which
I would not have known that when before I started all of this, when someone said, "Oh yeah, like there's like really like hardcore techies in accounting." I'm like, what? Like,
I love the tech side.
But some people really, really do love that and just get so jazzed. And that'd be a real asset to someone. I mean, if you can kind of like get through the accounting, but get jazzed by the tech and the apps, you could really build a good business that way.
Well, there are roles now in organizations, larger organizations like ours, where your role is implementation. Tech and implementation is an actual role where you're not doing bookkeeping, but you're choosing the best app stack for a client, building out the app stack, and then supporting the client on the app stack.
Mm-hmm. I could see that being a great partnership marriage between like someone who really likes that, maybe is more on the manager side, and then as long as you can hire someone to like do the bookkeeping side, but you're out there telling people like, oh yeah, we'll solve this problem for you, and then you have someone who's like, I don't want to think about like how to solve the problem, I just want to execute the solution. And
there's roles for a lot of different preferences nowadays, whereas it used to be, bookkeeping was actually data entry. It's not anymore.
Right. That's why I've interviewed several young people too, because I would think that if people in the industry can kind of emphasize that tech side to the extremely young, the teenagers, they're like, accounting, so nerdy. Like, no, man, it's like cool. You're gonna get to like
absolutely
wear your like Converse shoes and your jean jacket, and then you're gonna, I don't know, put stickers all over your laptop for cool apps. So anyway, let me go back to ask questions, folks, if you have them for Juliet. Any favorite success story that you would like to share?
Probably two stand out for me.
Okay.
So one is a manager, I guess it was a bookkeeping entrepreneur firm who wanted to hire, who wanted to create a team. They didn't have a team. They didn't want to do, as you said, they didn't want to do the bookkeeping piece. They wanted to do the front end, higher level stuff and the tech side. And so they decided that they wanted to offshore and wanted to hire a bunch of people in Philippines because then there was enough margin for them. So they ran their Philippine team through our program.
Cool.
Instead of having to train them all individually, they ran their team of 4 through our program to train them.
So they were learning Canadian principles or
not even Canadian
constraints.
Principles, but they didn't necessarily have the QBO and the app experience, the Canadian app experience, and so they were able to learn it.
Okay.
That was one. And then a local
That's really cool.
A local one, a woman who went through our program, she was the manager, loved the program because she was overwhelmed, overworked, needed to hire staff, She needed to hire 2 staff, and there's no way that she could have hired 2 people at the same time, because she wouldn't have been able to train 2 people at the same time, but she was able to hire them both. They both went through the program. They supported each other as well.
It's good to have a friend.
And then at 90 days, she had 2 fully trained bookkeepers ready to hit the ground running.
Okay. These are really awesome stories. I'm trying to think about, like, if you're like pregnant and you have to like take some time. I don't know, like, okay, yeah. Well, I'm going to have a baby in 6 months. So 90 days and then a few days of like, we'll work together for 3 months, and then they can kind of keep us afloat for like maternity leave. I mean, there's all sorts of ways that this could solve problems.
Absolutely. And you can accelerate. I mean, we've based it on 90 days, which is for someone who has no QBO and cloud experience at all.
Okay.
So it's based on 3 to 4 hours a day they're learning, and then 3 to 4 hours a day they're practical in your firm doing stuff.
On your clients?
Yes, they're working on your clients after week 1. So it's 3 to 4 hours a day they're working on the client work. But we have had people who, they have QBO experience, or they have, some cloud experience, and you can accelerate the program. As soon as you get 80% on the module, the next one opens up. Okay. So we actually, internally, we just hired someone at the end of July. So he's been with us for 2 weeks, and it's 13-week module. He's on module 10, and he's flying through them because a lot of the stuff he knows, that he can do the exercises, pass the exams, and he watches the videos, and he's good to go.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to take 90 days. We recommend 90 days if you have no cloud experience.
Okay. Very cool. How much does your course cost?
It depends.
Okay.
We have 3 packages right now. It also qualifies for the, in Canada, we have a Canada job grant, which if you're an employer paying for training for your employee, the government pays 50% of the training.
Okay.
So we have 3 packages. At the entry-level package, it's 9,900 Canadian, which is what, like 4,000 US for you guys, but it's 9,000 Canadian.
Okay, which is how much US, sorry?
It's probably about 6,000 US with the exchange rate.
All right.
But you get half of that back from the government. So it's actually 4,500 out of your pocket, or just under 5. And at the higher end, so the higher end package is 22,000, but at the 22,000 level, we are actually training your employees. So you give them client work that you want them to do, and they don't know how to do it. We help them do it. So you're not even having to support them with your own clients. We're helping them with the practical work as well, and we're marking their exercises and their assignments. And so we basically become a personal trainer for your employee.
Okay. I mean, that sounds great. If you, is it kind of all-inclusive lifetime? So does it only work per one employee, or will I be able to apply it? Like, is it only one test set or something like that? Or can I reuse this throughout my whole practice, my whole time?
Right now, it is only per employee, because otherwise you don't qualify for the job grant, because you actually have to assign the training to one employee to qualify for the job grant. But as a heads up for your audience, it hasn't actually even been announced anywhere. In September, we're rolling it out so that it's unlimited. There's going to be programs for unlimited employees to run through. And instead of it being a one-time upfront fee, it's going to be a monthly fee.
I gotcha.
And it gives you access to the hiring, the onboarding, and the team programs as well.
Okay.
So that's coming in September.
So for those of y'all still here at the end, that would be a great reason to go join her Ninja Network Facebook group to probably stay abreast of all of those announcements and figuring out how that's going to roll out, and being one of the early adopters and getting the good deal and being the training program, being like, who's gonna join our membership program for the first time, and you can you can go through the bumps of that with her, but still get all the good training too. All the learn as you go. Jill asks a question. she just asked it. So I think it was just talking about probably your recent hire. She says, what do you mean by cloud experience? You said, so you hire, if someone has cloud experience, they go faster. She writes, what do you mean by cloud experience?
So mostly QBO experience.
Okay.
So he already had exposure to how to do things in QuickBooks Online.
Okay.
Whereas the other hires that we've had have been desktop only. And most of the people that go through the program, there's been a couple that have cloud experience. So they have exposure already to QuickBooks Online. They may not know all the pieces, but where they have some exposure to QuickBooks Online.
Okay. Any other questions from the group that's watching? Don't forget, I'll say it again. Type your name or ask a question if you want your name in for the free drawing of the Ninja Way. And you'll get to learn how Juliet started back in 2000, and we now are in 2020. 20 years later, it's her story to building an awesome firm. I put a Facebook post up like an hour before this, I think, just saying, yeah, guys, get ready. And I said, you know what smart people do? They read biographies, and that's what this is. And even in just the short, brief part that I've had a chance to read, it just hit me. I've always known that smart people read biographies, and that reading biographies is just a really powerful learning tool. But it hit me again that, and it's kind of weird. I mean, we're like in the accounting field, like, you read biographies of Abraham Lincoln, right? No. You can read biographies of accountants, and if you're in this field, it will be a powerful read. So get it, even if you don't win my free copy.
Yes, it is on Amazon, and all the proceeds go to support my Nina house, which would be
exactly
awesome.
It's for a good cause too. And Diane is saying go buy the book. Stacy's saying she learned a lot. Stacy, thank you so much for being here. While we're wrapping up here, go ahead and highlight how people can contact you if they want to reach out to you. What's the best way?
Sure, I'm on LinkedIn. That's the easiest way to find me.
Okay.
Or through the Facebook group. If you join the Facebook group, I'm in there all the time, so you can always tag me there. I'm on Facebook, probably more than I should be, but
it's okay. It's okay.
But no, I'm on LinkedIn as well, so feel free to reach me out on LinkedIn.
All right, Juliet Aurora, Aurora.
Yes.
So awesome. Well, I don't have
one ask. Could I have one ask?
Please.
That even if you don't buy the book,
yes,
but you have gotten it from somewhere else, because at conferences, when I'm presenting at conferences, I give out the book. So if you have the book and you didn't purchase the book, if you could go onto Amazon and just give us a review as well, because that bumps it up for Amazon to promote it for us.
Okay.
In a house, which I'd appreciate.
Awesome. Yeah, whoever gets this free book, you better leave a dang Amazon review. And everyone do that. It's a great way to just help each other, business owner to future business owner. Y'all here listening to this are potential business owners, and stuff like Amazon reviews help. So please do that. Those of you who are listening. So, well, that's all I have. Your program it's definitely different from the sort of the baby step your way into becoming a bookkeeping entrepreneur programs. This is different, so I want to make that very clear. I've got several of these interviews up, y'all, so if you're listening to this one as your first one, like maybe this is your first kind of intro to me and the information I provide, listen to others, because this is not going to be the course for many of you, but it will probably be a really great fit and like the best money you've ever spent for some of you. Most people aren't entrepreneurs, and this is really for people who are wanting to have a big business. So if you're wanting a job as a bookkeeper, this is not the course for you. But it's been a good story. It's been great to hear about how this whole industry works. I think people probably will learn a lot about, the desktop and the cloud, and it's just been good to hear your take on this whole industry from someone who's been around it a lot for a long time. The original. That's what I'm going with. You're the original.
Okay, the original. Okay.
You're the OG bookkeeping side hustler. So
excellent. I can live with that title.
All right. Okay. Well, I will end this. There's still quite a few people watching, so chime in over the next 24 hours till August 14th in the afternoon, and that's who I'm going to pick the names from people who left comments to get this free book. And thank you so much, Juliet. I really have enjoyed getting to know you and hear your story, and we'll be in touch, and we'll tag you in the group whenever we need help. And
yes, please do. And
okay.
As Kate said, the program is only in Canada now. So if there is interest to have it come to the US, please do add it into the comments, and let me know if you'd like us to create a US version of it.
Okay. All right, everyone, have a great weekend. I'm going to go make sure my kids haven't destroyed the downstairs, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks so much, Kate.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.